All right, what's up, my brothers? So we've got a requested video from a gentleman here from Canada who's a Indian guy who has insecurities about his past. So let's throw this up on the screen and hop right into it and see what his problem is. He says, "Big fan. A little about me. I'm 5'7", Indian, growing up in Ontario. I'm born in Canada. I was raised in a primarily middle-class Caucasian part of Ontario. Because of this, I've always had an attraction to Western women and mainly Caucasian women. I've lived a very boring life. I studied, I became a CFA, and it's like a traditional role for a lot of Indian guys here. Worked very hard and then went to law school, and now I'm practicing in tax law for medium-sized firms in my hometown." Okay. I constantly get told that I'm a catch, but I do have self-esteem issues. I was a loser growing up and pined for exciting women, those who were rebellious and lived a fun life. I didn't attain a girl at all, period, until 27. Didn't kiss, didn't do anything. I would get really nervous and sweat and couldn't speak to women until that age. Okay. Fast forward now, and I meet a single mom. Here we go. It always gets interesting after this part. 38 female, he's 35. Yes, I know there's a larger issue and I need your help with. So she's a former bar star. Bar star is an interesting term. I first heard this term when I was dating this girl from British Columbia, out west, and I guess it's a term that they use out over there. But it's really just used to describe women that hang out in bars a lot and are stars as a result of it. I haven't seen that soundbite or that catchphrase used in a while, actually. All right, and he goes on to say, and dated a lot of guys back in her youth. I would put dated in quotations as she was quite promiscuous. Threesomes, one night stands, hooking up with randoms on vacation. Yeah, so nothing new there, right? But also had a long term relationship with her baby daddy who cheated on her and the relationship ended. She describes him as one of her many soulmates who shaped her. Imagine dealing with a single mom with a kid in tow telling you that you're not one of her soulmates and that the guy that she had a kid with was. I can see why this guy's starting to have some problems. Obviously, watches my stuff if he's sponsoring a video and requesting this, but not adopting it. Anyway, so let's keep going on. She says she was very in love with him, and he settled her wild life down, but that the relationship wouldn't have worked, and I'm better for her. Well, translation: you're beta bucks, my friend. Maybe she just wants the beta bucks. I don't know. Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. She had the kid with the Chad that she, called her soulmate that shaped her, blah, blah, blah. And she's saying, like, when a chick says that you're better for me than the guy that I was in love with, the guy that was my soulmate, the whatever, you're not her first choice. And you never want to deal with a woman that's not picking you first. Choose women that choose you, as they say, right? Anyway, so here's my issue, man. Sorry for the length. How do you deal with this? She said, I can tell you right now, you don't deal with this chick and you have more options. But let's dive into the rabbit hole of bullshit that we're about to get into, because I know it's about to come, right? You guys watching know it's about to come. Let's see what he's got here. Anyway, she said she wouldn't have dated me in her 20s. There it is, of course, as she was attracted to muscular, tall men for her short-term dating. She's overtly stating this to his face. And her ex was a DJ who now has two kids with two women and is now dating a third. All right. How do you reconcile wanting a woman who wouldn't have wanted you when she was in her prime? You don't. You don't deal with her. I don't know why guys want to complicate their lives unnecessarily and then try to justify why they're doing it. It's like, if she doesn't pick you as her first choice, you are not going to have a good experience. And this is exactly why I tell you guys, choose women that choose you. Pick women that have chosen you as their first choice, right? Other guys are invisible to her. She sees you as her hypergamous best option, blah, 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 blah. I've said this 100 times. And here we have this guy who's like, how do you reconcile this sort of thing, right? How do you deal with what else does he say? Or the worry that no one would have, and this is the standard. How do you deal with a girl who you may have never been able to inspire the passion she once had? You don't. And finally, most important, I mean, you work on yourself, but we'll figure out once we read all this. And finally, most important, how do I, having had very few relationships and experiences, find meaning in doing things for the first time with somebody that has done already with someone she loves so strongly to completely change her life at the age of 26? Man, guys, I've got videos on my channel on why you don't want to deal with older women. You know, they come with baggage. A 36-year-old chick that's been alpha widowed, was a bar star, partied through a bunch of guys, admits that she's not even that attracted to you and says that you're better for her. I mean, that's just bag. Like, why do you want to deal with that baggage? It's just unnecessary baggage. The only reason why guys deal with it, and I'll tell you right now, it's because they lack better options. And let's find out why we're lacking better options, hopefully, when we finish this. Anyway, right in her prime, an example perhaps. I've never gone to a resort or a football game with a girl. Okay. She was mentioning a trip where she did one or the other, and my brain goes to just how my story would be another story here. Or worse, maybe less fun experience as she was younger and more fun back then. It makes me not want to. Yeah, well, look, guys, you're never going to get away from the fact that men are concerned with women's past. I don't know why you would ignore that fact when I've said it so many times. Men are always concerned with a woman's past. And if she has a long history, a long past, a long list of guys that she's been with and experiences and, you know, things that they've done to hurt her or but cheat on her or whatever the, you know, thing is that she's dealing with at 36, like all that baggage, you're going to be dealing with it. Women don't generally reconcile a lot of that crap. They just kind of carry it around and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And it's like, you know, she just gets older and older and keeps carrying around, dumping it on guys' laps. And the guys with options don't deal with it. The guys lacking options deal with it. And then they send me this kind of stuff, right? I'm just being honest, dude. Anyway, so he goes on and says, this is not the first time this has happened. It's ruined every relationship I've been in for the last 2 to 3 years. I seem to get stuck on with this certain experienced, exciting woman. I want to be special as I didn't live that life. Well, again, you date older chicks that have a Rolodex, a history, a large notch count. You're going to be dealing with the baggage that comes along with it. You want to avoid that? Date younger women that don't have that much history. Simple as that. And there's something wrong with me for idolizing that life since I feel like I've never lived. Idolizing that life, he's saying. Okay. He says, I live alone. I don't make a ton of money right now. Well, that's part of your problem. What I have, how do you not make a ton of money as a tax lawyer? I think you said you were a tax lawyer. Didn't you say you practice tax law? CFA, practicing a tax law. Yeah. Why are you underpaid? Like, why do you have a problem with money? You should be doing quite well. What I have is tied up in property investments across Canada. Well, still, you've got assets. You know, you can leverage against assets if you ever need cash. So you're not poor, or you know, you shouldn't be saying that you're not. I don't know. You're saying I don't make a ton of money, but you have assets. I'm not clear on that. He says I'm not poor, but I'm not liquid, as my money is constantly divided to my expenses. I don't drive a nice car. I don't work out. Then he says I should. I'm skinny fat. Okay, but even when I was fit, look, guys. Let me let me share with you one cool trick. You ever see those like ads, you know, to sell you stupid shit online? I've got that one cool trick that will solve all your problem. 75% of the male population doesn't get this. Only about 25% gets it. The vast majority of the North American male population is fat, obese, morbidly obese. They're out of shape, let's just say. Okay, there's a small percentage of guys that are not. And if you can get in that percentage of guys that are fit, that look good when they take off their clothes, that work out, that, you know, when they go on vacation, there's a good photograph of them there, sort of thing. If you can look like those guys, then guess what? That's who the girls want to be with. There's no girl on the planet right now. It's like, you know, writing in her journal on her phone or handwriting it out saying, gee, I really wish I could find a skinny fat guy. You know, that's, what did you say? That doesn't make a ton of money right now and is boring and lives a poor life, sort of thing. Nobody is right. Like, there's no chick writing that shit down. None. They're looking for Mr. Exciting. They're looking for Mr. Exciting that has money and is interesting and has a, you know, a network and all those sorts of things. And what you're saying is, I don't know why I'm stuck with this nightmare. I can't get over being stuck with this nightmare, but my life isn't that interesting and I'm not important. I'm not influential. I'm kind of overweight. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you guys read this before you press the send button? But even when I was fit and worked out, I never got the quality of women I felt was the same as me. Not attractive models, but even a 7 to a 7.5 was not attainable. That's standard for most guys today. I'm telling you right now, most guys can barely even get a 7 and a 7.5, right? So even if you were in better shape back then, but again, weren't interesting, didn't have a network, all those things that we talk about, you know, having some game, having some money, being influential, being captivating and not boring. You can do anything to women except bore them, right? But this feeling doesn't leave, he says. Let me put it back on the screen. Sorry. As much as I doubt I'm ready to be a step further, a stepfather, as much as I doubt I'm ready to be a stepfather, this relationship just represents a weakness I can't seem to figure out. Look, guys, anybody contemplating raising another man's kid, you have a serious problem. Okay, it's not natural. It really isn't. And contemplating it should be telling you that you're in a bad place where you don't have better options, right? This lady is low hanging fruit. She's partied, her 20s away into her 30s. She's a single mommy. She's alpha widowed by guys or several guys, and she's looking at you as like the better choice right now because of all of her parties out of the way, and she needs security. And here you are wondering why you're doing this, right? Anyway, I'm really struggling with this. I watch all the videos on the wall, the epiphany phase from you. I've watched the graph video enough times. All of it makes sense. Okay. If you guys don't know what that is, quick recap. Women in their 20s spend most of their time partying up about the mid to late 20s, and they hit an epiphany phase where they're like, hold on, everybody's getting married, having kids. I'm almost going to be 30 soon. That means I'm going to be old, and I inherently know that I can't compete with the younger, more beautiful, fertile women, sort of thing. That's when they start to try, to cash out their chips and find a guy and land somebody that's just good enough. So that's generally how these things go, right? And by the time they're in their 30s, most women out there, if you're in the dating pool, as a guy, you're going to notice a lot of them have baggage. They got kids in tow. They got a lot of hurt. They got oh, well, that guy cheated on me, and that guy was mean to me, and that guy, said something, nasty to my kid, and blah, 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 sort of thing. So you're dealing with this level of baggage that you wouldn't be dealing with if you had better options, if you're a higher value guy. Again, in your own words, I don't make a ton of money. I'm skinny fat. I'm not interesting. Like, you just like, why, meaning, okay, so the more I discuss these things, the more truths I get that show that she would never have looked my way. Yeah, again, she's only looking your way because you're beta bucks right now. Like, she's looking for a provider to raise another dude's kid. For example, most of her exes were black or Hispanic. I'm not. So I feel like she's settling for me as she likes to date that type. I'm really struggling and would love to hear your feedback. Well, I've already provided quite a bit. My dad died when I was really young. Dude, I'm sorry to hear that. I was raised by a single mom. Of course, it's like single mom households are like beta factories for dudes exactly like this, right? I mean, guys, you've got to disconnect from, like, you got to cut the umbilical cord and get out on your own and, find ways to be impactful and do something of some significance with your life and build a strong masculine frame and a strong network and all that stuff. Anyway, single mom who never dated. We struggled financially and she worked very hard. I have a ton of respect for female nature and female work ethic, but that's okay. But if I mention this to anyone, I get called a misogynist. I am self medicating these emotions with weed, booze, and smoking often. Anyway, keep up the good work. Your videos are a calming presence in my life. I just respect you so much. Blah blah blah. Okay, so guys, it's always the same thing. It's always some guy that's got insecurity about a chick's past, and then they try to reconcile. Oh, sorry, she's 38. She's not 36. He's 35. She's what are the red flags here? Single mommy. She's got a big notch count. She's older than you. You're clearly not her type. She's not choosing you. Again, you want to choose women that choose you. You don't have a lot of experience with women, which is why you have all these insecurities. My advice, and dude, you're 35, so you're pretty much coming up at the end of your prime. Guys peak in the mid to late 30s, late 30s, early 40s tops. If you've got good genetics, but you're basically coming up, to the end of your prime. Like, women peak around 22, 23, men, into their mid to late 30s. So the good news is you can fix all this. You really can, dude. Like the height thing, set it aside. The Indian thing, set it aside. Doesn't matter. I know lots of 5'7" brown guys that do well with chicks, okay? Because they don't have a scarcity mindset. They look, if a lion lowers his standards to eat grass like the gazelle, it's just going to die out and lose at life. Lions don't lower their standards and start eating grass. There's no grass eating lions. They just get hungry, they get up, and they start doing mean lion shit and chasing stuff, right? Tune in with your masculine side. Let go of the, I respect women and my mom and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying be a dick, okay? Like, I'm not saying, be a chest beating, He-Man woman hater or anything like that. What I'm saying is, have some dignity and respect for yourself and hold yourself to higher standards. One, don't date women that are older than you. Two, don't date women with children. Three, date women that don't have a high notch count. Just do those three things, and that'll solve pretty much a lot of your problems here. That's what you can do when dealing with women. The big problem, though, is dealing with the guy looking at you in the mirror in the morning, the guy that's skinny fat, that's not that interesting, that doesn't have a lot of hobbies. I think was one of the things that you said. You said that you live on your own, but you don't make a ton of money. So not making a lot of money at 35. Like, women have patience for a 22-year-old Chad with a plan. That's the reason why your 38-year-old girlfriend with this kid got run through by a bunch of guys, is because hot dudes in their 20s convinced her that he was a good choice, and she spent time with him, and they got out and they basically alpha widowed her, which is why she's pining for these guys and say that, like, you're a better choice sort of thing, right? So if you get away from a lot of these like scarcity mindset issues around women and stay away from that crap, and hold yourself to higher standards, deal with the weight issue, deal with being boring. I don't know why you're not making a lot of money as a tax lawyer in Canada, but find ways to make more money. If you don't have kids, why are, like, if you're in a small town, move to Toronto, move to Ottawa, move to a large city where you're going to get paid more, right? What's holding you back? Is your mom holding you back in the small town in Ontario? That's one of the things that I think you said towards the top, was that, you grew up in like a middle class suburban sort of city. There's things you can do to change your life, my man. And by the way, you don't even need to stay in Canada. Tax lawyers get paid a lot of money in different parts of the world. And if you're not getting paid well in Canada for whatever reason, or in the city that you're in, move to a bigger city where the pay is better, where you have more opportunity. Like, the change in environment can be a game changer for a lot of guys. I've seen a lot of dudes that have moved around North America, the Caribbean, even in Europe, different parts of the world. And each time they pick up and go and they do something significant, with themselves, there's like this new chapter, there's this new version of themselves that they get to start all over fresh with. And they get to take that old version of themselves around behind the back of the barn, beat it with a stick, bury it 6 feet under, and be done with it. You need to end the beta, is what it is, right? Because this scarcity mindset that you have, this like connection to the beta version of yourself, the plugged in version of yourself, where you're like thinking, I should send this random stranger, Rich, on the internet and ask him questions about if it's a good idea for me to date this alpha widowed single mom that's older than me, that doesn't see me as her best choice, right? Like, did you even read this before you sent it? I'm just saying. Start with those things. Set higher standards for women that you're going to allow in your life. And by the way, for you to get those women that you're going to be setting higher standards for, you're going to have to be a more interesting guy. You're going to have to be a better catch. Can't be skinny fat. Can't make average money, or just like not a ton of money right now at 35. You should be getting close to the peak of your earning potential, right? You should be making decent money in your mid to late 30s. And yeah, so that's it. You guys can chime in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, pin in the top comment. There's a bunch of useful links. Two things like my supplement line, my book. If you haven't read The Unplugged Alpha, get it. It's on Amazon. If you want to make a request like this, the link's there as well. I'm sure a bunch of you guys watching this right now are like, okay, here's what I got for you, bro. Just type it in the comments and let this guy know what you think. I know that a lot of these guys take a look at the feedback. So anyway, there it is. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.